Now that's not hype. I'm not exaggerating. The shots have been fired. The flares have been fired. So we can either listen and do something, or we can continue to party. One of my favorite quotes is from Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was one of the 5 great Caesars. And it was Marcus Aurelius who said that the impediment to action advances action. That what stands in the way becomes the way. Let me say that differently. Where there is no obstacle, there is no way. When God gives you an assignment, when you're ready, the next thing God does is places an obstacle in front of that assignment. And your job, your assignment is to get over, around, through, under the obstacle. And when you prove to God that you can do that, God checks off a box, gives you an attaboy or an attagirl, and then you get a new assignment. And as soon as he gives you a new assignment, an obstacle is put in your way. And your job at that moment in time is to find a way over, around, and through the obstacle. And for 400 years, Africans in America have found a way over, around, and through the obstacle. And when we look back on our lives, we understand that the obstacle for us is the way. We are an awesome and beautiful and powerful people. And we need to act like it.
All right.
And maybe the best thing that has happened to us, because God works in mysterious ways, maybe the best thing that has happened to black people is Donald Trump. That racist, narcissistic fool has demonstrated to us what he thinks of us and what so much of America thinks of us. Now, we have always suspected, we have always complained, we have always saber-rattled what we now know to be true. America elected Donald Trump. And we now know what so much and so many of America think about us. But we've had that suspicion with, we can almost say it ain't nothing new. But now it's been proven, Imam. It's been proven. So this is a good thing. This, I think, will motivate us to understand that we are in a state of urgency. We are in a state of emergency, if you will. Interesting article in the Wall Street Journal. I hope you saw it. Interesting. It said that financial illiteracy is an American problem. That's what the Wall Street Journal said. Financial illiteracy is an American problem. And demanded that America, both the public, private, and independent sector, invest billions of dollars in bringing America to financial literacy. That's what the Wall Street Journal said in an editorial. Now, we know that when white folks catch a cold, black people catch pneumonia. So if financial illiteracy is an American problem, it is 10 times the problem in our community.
All right.
We understand that. Therefore, it is time for us to put economic development and wealth creation, closing the income and wealth gap between blacks and whites in America. I did not say blacks and Hispanics. I did not say blacks and Asians. I did not say blacks and Arabs. Right. I said blacks and white folk. That's what I said. Because that's where our issue is. It is time for us to close that gap. It is time for us to put economic development on the front burner. It is time for us to create a mantra and slogan around that idea. And that mantra and slogan, as I have been saying for the last 5 years, is that economics is the new black power. Economics must now become the new black power.
All right.
And this cannot be done without the cooperation, the investment, and the engagement of the most important, the most trusted institution in our culture, and that is the black church. They must touch it. And so we must devise a system that allows us morally and spiritually to fulfill Proverbs 13:22, that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That is what the Bible says. Interesting article on the front page of USA Today, Bishop. Thank God it was below the fold, but it was on the front page. And here's in essence what the article said. It said that if nothing changes among African Americans, no, let me back up. That was another article. This one said that African American baby boomers will be the first generation of Africans in America to raise another generation of Africans in America that will not do better than them. So in the 400-year history of our people in this country, we are the only generation to raise another generation that will be worse off. We need our asses kicked. Our ancestors and forefathers must be rolling over in their grave.
All right.
You can count me out of that statistic. I will not participate, and you must not participate in that statistic. Understand that everything we do for our children, just as everything our parents did, they did for us. We cannot allow this to happen. Not on our watch. Further investigation, further studies, further statistics tell us. Now that's not hype. I'm not exaggerating. The shots have been fired. The flares have been fired. So we can either listen and do something, or we can continue to party. Make Grammy-nominated rap songs. Buy our red bottoms. Gucci's and Ferragamos, and wear all this stuff.
Right.
Well, let's just see if white folks are right. Now that brings me to a crossroads that we had to engage in 1965. Daniel Patrick Moynihan, at the wish of Lyndon Johnson, President Lyndon Johnson, did a major report and study on the state of the black family. It was called the Moynihan Report. Daniel Patrick Moynihan was a New York liberal Harvard graduate. Did his work, published the report, and basically the report said the following. What he noticed through statistical gathering is that the out-of-wedlock birth rate among black families was 5 times that of white families in 1963 and 4, and ultimately published in 5. Out of wedlock births were at about 25% then, and in the white community, it was about 5%. We were 5 times higher. And Daniel Patrick Moynihan basically said in his own, northeasterner way, that brothers and sisters, this is what the statistics are, but the federal government cannot legislate your screwing. That's on you.
Oh my God.
We can't tell you when and who to screw. But here's what's happening as a result of what you're doing. Your rates are 5 times higher than our rates. And if that trend continues and you do nothing about it and you ignore it, within 20 to 40 years, your out-of-wedlock birth rate will get to the 60s and 70%. That will affect and effect the black family structure and ultimately lead you into poverty. Oh, the report was published and we were pissed. Racist Daniel Patrick Moynihan. And we did nothing. And what happened? Exactly what they reported. So, we don't have to listen to the statistics. We can just continue doing what we're doing. That's if you want to do that. I have chosen not to do that. Because although the prediction is that by 2053 this will occur to us, if you read the national coverage of the front page story in December of last year in the Boston Globe about black people and their money in Boston, it made national news. It's all on the national news, Bishop. Boston, one of the wealthiest cities in America. A home of America's most elite education, Harvard, MIT, Boston College, Bryn Mawr, Sarah Lawrence, Boston University. Here was the major headline in the Boston Globe. I read to you the headline. The headline was so egregious, even the headline had to qualify the end result. Here's the headline. This is no typo. The median net worth of black Bostonians really is $8. I said $8. One of the wealthiest cities in America. Black Bostonians are worth $8. Now, I thought the prediction in Fortune magazine is that we would be broke by 2053. Well, black Bostonians are about 20 years ahead of time. We don't have to do anything, but I'm recommending that we do something. I'm recommending that we tackle the problem, and I really see it. I talked about this earlier. I don't really see it as a problem because I'm an entrepreneurial thinker and have been all my life. I see it as a massive opportunity to provide education and training to 46 million black people. That's what I see. Massive. It's something that we're capable of doing ourselves. So, with that thought in mind, 3 years ago, I began thinking through what was the system that we needed to put in place to institutionalize financial education in the black community. Where must it first be housed and then expanded and extended to? And there's only one clear answer if you think clearly about this. It must take seed in the historically black church. There are 85,000 black churches in America. 25 million black people go to church every single Sunday. We are the most morally grounded, spiritually rooted people in this country. We are the most church-going people in this country. You cannot do anything of significance in black America without touching or it being led. Every major movement in this country, every major good thing that has ever happened to black people in this country was led by the black church, leadership from the black church. So it's got to start there. Now, there are 1,500 references to money and economics in the Bible. So this is no strange subject. We just need to bring the subject up more frequently. So we launched this year WINS. WINS. WINS is an acronym. Wealth in the name of our divine Son. We know who that is. I created a little piece of poetry under WINS, and it says, for it is the wind that makes us soar, and it is the winds that bring change. WINS. There will be financial literacy centers, wealth building centers. That's how we're branding them. Now, I have a little experience with branding. I spent 13 years in branding and marketing and leadership positions with Procter & Gamble. Now, anybody know anything about branding and marketing? They are the beasts of branding and marketing. They invented branding. I sat at the feet of the masters for 13 years. I was the guy that was partly responsible for the launch of Pampers, which disrupted the cloth diaper category 40 years ago. So I know a little bit on how to package, design, and do the brand architecture for something as powerful as a brand that needs to bring us to literacy. We introduced it last year at the Power Networking Conference. We said, here's what's coming. And we launched it this year at the Power Networking Conference. We recruited. Now, I did the prototype. I've had a WIN center in my church for the last 14 months. So I was sort of the test market. We're now doing what they call in the branding world a soft launch. So we've got 15 people around the country. We will be meeting in October for the final Train the Trainer. Each person directing a WIN center must have some history in the financial services industry, and then they must get a CFEI, which is a certification in financial education instruction. You see, because you are a stockbroker doesn't mean that you can teach financial education. It is no different than basketball. Michael Jordan is the baddest basketball player to have ever played the game, but he would fire himself as the coach of a team that he won because he cannot coach. But Phil Jackson was a mediocre basketball player, and Phil Jackson has 11 rings, and 9 of them are for coaching. Because you can play basketball doesn't mean that you can teach basketball. Because you can read doesn't mean that you can teach reading. Because you can do math doesn't mean that you can teach math. You have to be certified. I have 2 African-centered charter schools, and you cannot teach basic reading in my charter schools without certification in reading. But why would we allow our people to teach our people something they're not certified in teaching? And this is especially true for black people because we learn differently. We're oral, visual, tactile. White folks that teach our inner city children can't teach them because they do not understand our learning and teaching style. We are an archival, we are an oral people. White folks are archival. They write and they read. Let me say that differently. They write and they read, that this world is still being run by books that were written 500 years ago. Don't you ever forget that. They take out of their brain, put it on paper, and publish it. Now, more of us are writing books than ever before. So we're moving in that direction. We've got to write it down, because in order to systemize something, you must be able to articulate it, put it in writing, and then make sure that there's a permanent record of it. That's what books are for. So there's nothing wrong with the oral tradition. It's a beautiful tradition. We see it every Sunday in the black church. That we are probably the best speakers in the world because we come from an oral tradition. President Barack Obama, I remember when he first got elected, a good white friend who said to me, "Man, President Obama can really speak, Dr. Fraser." I said, and he said, "No, he's a great speaker, isn't he?" I said, "He's all right." I said, "Have you ever heard Freddie Haynes?"
Yes.
All right.
Have you ever heard of Gardner Taylor?
All right.
Ever heard of Howard Thurman? You ever heard Jeremiah Wright? You go, "Oh yeah, I heard Jeremiah Wright." Of course they heard Jeremiah Wright. So we have an oral tradition. We learn differently. We have to learn. So we have to teach our people differently about wealth building and educate them differently around literacy. And we have designed a curriculum, a special, culturally specific curriculum, using special tools and ideas to educate our people about money, to pull them away from the most important addiction that we have. One of the most important addiction, I say important, I don't really mean that. One of the worst, let me say that another way. We have a very badass habit. We really do. Now, I've been black for 73 years, and we have a badass habit. And this habit is the worst in us than anybody else in America. And you know what that habit is? Our habit or addiction to instant gratification versus delayed gratification. There's lots of socio-psychological reasons for it. I don't want to get into it, right? I can take up too much time telling you why that we need to feel good right now. Because for 350 years, we didn't feel so good. Right? For 350 years, we really couldn't party. Right? For the last 50 years, maybe we could say, if we want to look at this metaphorically, we were just partying, we were just celebrating our fight for freedom. And basically, we are really just 2 generations out of oppression. I mean, the Civil Rights laws were enacted in 1965, the Voting Rights Act in 1967. We're just 2 generations out of oppression. Right? And the Jews did not get to the Promised Land after they were freed for how many years? 40. Right? They misbehaved and had to get their stuff together for 40 years. Well, you know, after 350 years of the crap that we went through, maybe we had to just do a little partying, you know, buy a little something, you know, look nice for a change, right? But now, you know, it's 40. The 40 years is over. The party is over, brothers and sisters. All right. So we now have to do the right thing. So we are opening the WIN Center. It is a system, as you've heard me say yesterday, that ideas are wonderful, but systems are better. We are the most creative people on the planet. We are. There's nobody more creative than black people. That is a special gift that God has given us. The moral and spiritual grounding gift and the gift of creativity. We invented jazz. Think about it. Jazz is 80% improvisation. Improvisation is creating an idea per second. If John Coltrane was alive and you invited him into this theater to play My Favorite Things, his classic, he would blow it out of the water. Only 10% of it you would recognize. It would, the melody, that's the only 10% you would recognize. The rest of it would be totally improvised. If he went home and you invited him back tomorrow to play the same song, it would sound entirely different. That's how creative, that's the power of our creativity. But we ain't that good at building systems. Probably the best system, Bishop, that we've ever built is the system of the Black church. The second best would be our fraternities and sororities. That's a system. So we have to move from just wonderful creative ideas, you know, being great football, baseball, basketball players, right? We're the talent, but we don't own the system.
That's good.
We don't even own rap. Wow. We don't? We don't own rap. We create the music. You know, we do the singing, dancing, playing football, yeah, but we don't own the system. The system is a system to produce, to package, to manufacture, and to distribute. What is the distribution system for football? The stadiums. The media. So that's a different kind of thinking, and this is the kind of thinking that we must engage our people in the 21st century. Now, all of this will come under what we're going to be introducing, or launching, I should say, because we introduced it this year, Fraser Nation. Now, for 31 years, we have been Fraser Net. It is not an ego trip. There's only one reason we used Fraser. Because the brand has been around for 31 years, and it has trust and loyalty. And a fine reputation. Right? So in the branding world, as I learned this from Procter & Gamble, this is called brand extension. There was Ivory soap. And then we made Ivory liquid. And then we made Ivory flakes. And the reputation of Ivory soap gave the halo effect to the extension of that name and brand. This is the same science, brothers and sisters. Except you don't know it, and I do. Now, some of you may know it. So, that's all it is. It's not an ego play. It is leveraging the reputation of your brand. Now, the theme for Fraser Nation is citizens of generational wealth. Citizens of generational wealth.
Please, if you want to join my Telegram group, go to my description box, click on the link. It will take you straight to the platform. Join us for us to discuss about the well-being of Africa and Africans in diaspora. And if today is your first time coming to this channel, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification button so that anytime I upload any great content, you will be notified. Thanks for watching. I'm always your guy, De-Graft Amoako.